Yes, it's still morning right here on Delta Television. We're riding on. We are bringing on the safety expert right now, Paul Orukamayan, and he is going to be looking at finding your missing person. And I was asking, missing person, is it Nigeria or is it Ukraine? Okay, we'll get to hear from him. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. How are you doing? I'm fine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, finding your missing person. But we are in Nigeria and we have peace. Apart from the fuel scarcity, we have peace here. So we are going to find him. Is it the Ukraine issue?
The Ukraine issue is one because everybody is running into a scatter. You know, when there is war and chaos, communication breaks down. Formally, you can easily shut up your relative in a war zone, shut up your relative on the journey of migration. But immediately, war sets out. All communication about that. And for some people, every catastrophe is a means for a scammer to make his own money.
Okay.
So because people know that there are people in Ukraine are going to be missing and they won't have a long term to be able to communicate with them, pending when they relocate to where they will have network. Sometimes they won't abandon their phone and their belongings, so they might just miss out the link with the family for a long time. So scammers link the family, get in touch with the family and say, oh, we know where your brother is, we know where your relative is, give us 500,000 and all that. And before you see, a lot of people have been drained. Whereas there are simple steps which people can get to help them look for the missing.
Okay, we'd like to really get to know those steps because a lot is happening in Ukraine right now. We've got a lot of our Nigerian brethren over there as well. So let's hear you out how to find the missing person.
All right. Many people go missing in time of war, catastrophe, the time of migration, illegal migration, and so on. These have become a resounding occurrence in the world. But how many persons know how to look for people who are missing, either relative, loved ones, or friends, when they're missing around the world? This is the reason why we need to come out and tell you there's some safety steps that you need to take and the right institutions that can help you look for that person that you have lost contact with. In a bracket word, it says, we're restoring the link between you and that person. These factors are just some key factors that need to be followed that leads to somebody missing. Have you heard of war and catastrophe before? War is a situation where one or two countries or several parties come into disagreement that leads to fighting. Simple example that every Nigerian would know is the crisis between the Boko Haram and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is a local crisis that you can think of. International crisis is presently going on in Ukraine where Russia is bombarding the Ukrainian states. It's also conflict. For us, the cause of conflict is never our business, but the life and safety of people who are affected by conflict remain our primary responsibility. Hence, we'll draw some of these factors from what we call the Geneva Convention. The Geneva Conventions are laws put together for states to abide and to protect you and I in terms of conflict like this. According to the Fourth Geneva Convention, it states that there should be protection for civilians of war. That means that when there is war, when there is crisis, the people who are not partakers of that crisis should be protected. And in as much as they should be protected, the responsibility to protect these people lies in the hands of some institution. So we look at the effect of people who are missing to both the individual, their communities, and their loved one. One is that when war or catastrophe broke out or somebody go missing all of a sudden, there's what we call physical trauma to those people who are left behind, who are looking for the missing. Physical trauma in the sense that they become sleepless, they become restless until they hear that single voice of that person. Have you ever been in a place where a family is called that one of their relatives is kidnapped? For the rest of that period, everybody in that family have sleepless nights. Everybody in that family is physically distorted. Financially, they are distorted. Mentally, they will be distorted. So, this is the number one effect when somebody go missing. Number two is the psychological effect. When you're told that your loved one is in the midst of conflict, and after weeks of calling, no link, no means to establish communication with that person, it leads to psychological trauma. I'll give you an example. For those of you who watch Romeo and Juliet, you also know what happened to the two bedlove when one finally passed up in the disguise that one passed up and the other. This is what actually happened to people, most especially those who live on the sole care and financial care of that person who is missing. If the breadwinner of your family is missing, I tell you, everybody in that family have psychological effects. Behavioral change is another thing that comes along with persons who are missing. It comes in two ways. The person who is missing suffer behavioral change. Those who are looking for the missing also suffer behavioral change. For the person who is missing in a crisis situation, obviously the person was living comfortable. Now the person is faced with a situation where you will need to trek from almost Asaba to Lagos in a real case scenario. Trek a very long distance because the means of transportation have been brought down. Actually, it causes behavioral change for such person. So the relative who are looking for that person, there's nothing you tell them actually that goes well with them. Last effect is anxiety. People who are looking for their missing ones are always anxious of what they are expecting. That is the truth. Is the person dead or the person is alive? They are anxious to get that news that want to see, oh, the person is alive. If the person is not alive, they also want to see the corpse of that person who have gone missing. And all these could lead to the death of somebody who is looking for his missing one. So where can you find help to avoid the present situation which we are finding ourselves? Within the last 1 week, a lot of people have come on the internet disguising that they are professionals who can help look for relatives who are missing in Ukraine. Do you have somebody in that war zone? Then you don't need to panic. You don't actually need to bother yourself going around looking for internet fraudsters and what's not to be able to look for your family. According to the UN Convention for the Protection of Refugees and People who are missing, the responsibility to look and reunite families saddled in the Act for the International Organization for Migration and the International Committee of the Red Cross. These are two international institutions that can help you look for anybody anywhere in the world. It takes them time, but yet they always get a result. And the third one is your state government, which you might want to try if your government can be able to look for. I tell you, over the last few days, we've heard in the social media that Nigerians in Ukraine have decided not to return back to Nigeria. If they decide not to return back to Nigeria, definitely if you go to the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you might not be able to link back to your family because they've decided to remain where they are or where their fate will lead them. So we're going to look at this institution and get you the right contact for them. For International Organization for Migration, if you're actually looking for somebody who is missing, you can contact the International Organization for Migration through their website on www.iom.int www.iom.int. INT is the short form of international. If you go to their site and click on looking for a missing person, a form will come out that you will give a specific information which I'll come back to. But let me get that information very clear. If you are looking for somebody anywhere in the world, IOM is the UN organization that can help you look for. If you want to deal with a non-governmental, international, neutral and impartial organization, then you might need to log on to www.familylink.icrc.org. www.familylink, all in one word, familylink.icrc.org. Now, when you click on this site, there are specific information that you will need to give. The specific information that you have to give. The www.familylink.icrc.org belongs to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is an international humanitarian organization live in the principle of impartiality and neutrality. What they do is they respect the right of that person who is missing. So if it's a Nigerian that is out there in Ukraine and probably have problem, if the person decides not to come back to his original state, Nigeria, to the Red Cross, they will not force the person back. All they need to do is to establish link between you who is looking for that person and that person who you're looking for, who could be in the refugee camp. Remember, for a very long time, your missing person might not have means to communicate. But these two organizations, wherever there's crisis, have 24/7 means to communicate. So the earlier you visit them, their sites, and give them the right information for them to be able to relink you to that your family member, the better for you. I'll tell you, these two organizations don't work with third parties. The IOM or the Red Cross, they don't work with third party. Please take note. So nobody comes to you and tell you that I am the agent of IOM or I am the agent of the Red Cross. So you need to give me XYZ money for me to be able to link you to your family. No. You just go to their site and give them specific information relating to your family. Take note this information that you need to provide for them. One is the name, full name of the person you are looking for. Full name in the sense that when the person migrates from Nigeria, what name does the person bear? What name does the person bear in the childhood? You know, we have traditional names and all that. They need all those information in stretch. All the available name that you have for such person, you need to get it down on their site and provide it for them. If possible, you need to give them the date of birth. I'll come back to tell you why they need the date of birth in that information. You give them the date of birth for that person you're looking for. You need to give them the last location you think that the person was before you start looking for the person. Probably people who are migrating from Africa to Europe, who are migrating from Nigeria to Europe, they travel from country to country. And most time, when they get to one country, they contact their family. So if the person contacts you that, oh, I am in Libya, and the person did not contact you within the next 2 weeks, obviously you need to provide either IOM or the Red Cross the information that the last time you spoke with the person, is at Libya, an XYZ place at Libya. So also in Ukraine, if the person tells you, I am in XYZ place in Ukraine, kindly provide that information because it's going to help them. If you have the photograph of that person, you need to give to them, because these two organizations are those who are responsible for every person who is not partaker of the conflict. So definitely at one point or the other, the person you're looking for, whether pass through the ICRC, the Red Cross refugee camp, or pass through the IMO refugee camp. So if they have the photograph of such person, then you're slimming down the search. Then you could provide them other information like the sex of the person, the height of the person, special marks on that person, special mark, birth mark, injury mark, tattoo of that person, you also provide for them. And that is all they need. And they keep you informed. The first minute they see the person, that person's voice, you're going to hear again. Reason why you need to give them the information of age of that person and probably sex is, it's not everybody that go missing that are found alive. Sorry. It's not everybody that go missing that are found back alive. So if somebody go missing and the person is not found alive, it will also be good and reduce psychosocial problem if the person's corpse is returned back to his family. The WHO treaty on the dignity of every human being is that people who die, they have their right to dignity and the right to dignified burial. So if you give the right information, these two organizations have the ability to run a DNA test to match that person who might have died to be able to get the person back to you. It might look sad to some people, but it's also important to that loved one who the person have left behind. So before I go, take it again. If you're looking for somebody who is missing, either in a crisis zone or wherever, the first you need to check on is go to the site of IMO, which is www.iom.org, all in small letter, www.iom.int is their number, is their link for you. It's all small letter. Number is also attached to it, but sometimes that number might be difficult for Nigerians to be able to link. If you want to use a neutral and impartial organization, then you use www.familylink.icrc.org. And when you use these two people, you are just one step to receiving that phone call from that person who is missing.
Wow.
Okay.
An interesting talk. That's a good one. We just hope that it will help a lot of our Nigerians here trying to connect to their families and, not get into the hands of scammers and wrong people, because like you said, a lot of persons who want to use this opportunity right now, what's happening in Ukraine, to make some big money scamming people up and down. So thank you very much for this timely information that you just brought. Thank you so much, Paul.
You're welcome.
All right, it's still Morning Ride on Delta Television. We are still riding. Stay with us as we'll be coming up shortly with our guests.